What happens when absolute power is placed in the hands of one man? Tonight, I will take you into the shadows of ancient Rome, to a time when emperors ruled not just cities, but the very hearts and fears of their people. This is not the tale of shining legions or marble triumphs. It is the story of Tiberius, the second emperor of Rome, who abandoned his capital and built a kingdom of secrets on the island of Capri. There, behind high cliffs and blue seas, he surrendered to desires so extreme that even Rome's tolerant society whispered in horror. This is not legend. This is history, recorded by chroniclers who dared to write what others feared to say. And tonight, you will hear it told slowly, carefully, as if in a dream, until sleep takes you into its arms. Let us begin. Tiberius Claudius Nero was born in 42 BCE in a city trembling between republic and empire. His father was a stern patrician, his mother a woman of great ambition, Livia Drusilla. She would later leave her husband to marry Octavian, the man who became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Overnight, the young boy was drawn into the orbit of absolute power. Tiberius was not like other children. Where others played with laughter, he sat in silence, watching. He was serious, cautious, observant. Rome taught him early that smiles could hide daggers, and affection was often a mask for ambition. Even as a child, his face was stern, his heart already shaped by duty. In the marble courtyards of Rome, surrounded by senators and soldiers, he learned to walk slowly, to speak carefully, and to trust no one. The boy was not loved, but he was feared. And in Rome, fear was often safer than love. As he grew, Tiberius found the one place where his silence became strength: the battlefield. Along the frontiers of the empire, the cold forests of Germania, the rushing waters of the Rhine, the wild Danube plains, he commanded legions with precision. Soldiers respected him, not because he was warm or charming, but because he was efficient, disciplined, and unyielding. Victory after victory followed him. He secured borders, crushed rebellions, and proved himself one of Rome's finest generals. In another world, he might have been remembered only as a soldier, a man of iron duty. But fate is rarely so kind. For in the halls of power, Augustus had other plans. To strengthen his dynasty, Augustus forced Tiberius to divorce his beloved wife, Vipsania Agrippina, the only woman he truly loved. She wept as they parted, and so did he, the only time Rome ever saw tears on his face. In her place, he was given Julia, Augustus's daughter, a woman known not for virtue, but for scandal. She humiliated him with her many affairs, mocking him openly. And in those years, something in Tiberius broke. The dutiful soldier hardened into bitterness. The loyal general became a man who no longer trusted love, nor Rome itself. In 6 BCE, weary of humiliation and politics, Tiberius did something few could understand. He walked away. He left Rome, left Julia, left power, and sailed to the island of Rhodes. For 8 years he lived in self-exile, far from the capital. There, he studied philosophy, walked the lonely coastlines, and watched the sea crash against cliffs. Some thought him broken. Others thought him cunning, biding his time. But whispers tell another story. That on Rhodes, free from the eyes of Augustus, Tiberius began to indulge curiosities he could never reveal in Rome. In silence, his darker impulses grew. In the long shadows of exile, the seeds of his later horrors were planted. When Augustus died in 14 CE, Rome needed stability, and so the exile was recalled. At 55, Tiberius became emperor. At first, he ruled with care. He managed finances, secured borders, and presented himself as cautious, almost reluctant. To senators, he seemed a man who carried power like a burden. Yet behind closed doors, rumors whispered otherwise. Orgies in the night, senators humiliated, slaves forced into acts beyond imagination. Still, Rome tolerated him. For in public, he maintained the mask of discipline. But beneath it, the shadows grew stronger. And soon, they would consume him. In 23 CE, tragedy struck. Tiberius's only son, Drusus, died. Many believed poisoned. Already paranoid, the emperor now saw enemies everywhere. 3 years later, in 26 CE, he made a decision that would define his legacy. He left Rome forever. He retreated to the island of Capri, a jewel of the Mediterranean, with cliffs rising from sapphire waters and caves glowing with sunlight. For most, Capri was paradise. For Tiberius, it became something darker. He built 12 villas across the island, each one luxurious, each one secretive. Villa Jovis, the largest, towered high above the sea, its halls filled with marble, fountains, and guards. But these were not mere palaces. They were stages. Stages for acts that would shock history. Life on Capri followed a grotesque rhythm. Mornings filled with strange performances around pools and fountains. Afternoons devoted to private humiliations. Nights ending with feasts that collapsed into cruelty. Agents roamed Rome's streets, luring or abducting youths. Families were bribed with wealth. Those who refused found their children vanished. On Capri, they were dressed in finery, yet lived in fear. Tiberius sat on a special chair, watching, directing, cataloging. Resistance was punished with torment. Submission bought only survival. Even in Rome, where decadence was common, these stories horrified. And yet, they continued, day after day, year after year. But Capri was not enough. Its poison spread back to Rome. Governors seeking favor sent gifts of youths across the sea. A black market flourished, trafficking the vulnerable. Even senators found themselves blackmailed. Sejanus, Tiberius's powerful prefect, gathered secrets from Capri and used them to control Rome itself. Fear became the empire's language. Noble families whispered in dread, afraid their sons or daughters might be taken. Even those far from Capri lived under its shadow. Paradise had become a plague. In his final years, Tiberius withdrew deeper into Villa Jovis. He became more paranoid, more cruel, more obsessed with cataloging every act. He wrote detailed records, describing not just what occurred, but how victims reacted, as though his mind was consumed by an obsession with control. Survivors later described him as both cold and calculating, taking pleasure not only in acts of indulgence, but in watching resistance break. His cruelty was methodical, almost scientific. By the time he died in 37 CE, at the age of 78, he had long ceased to be the respected soldier of his youth. He had become a symbol of corruption, a man whose name was spoken with fear even centuries later. Today, Capri is a paradise once more. Tourists walk its paths, gaze at its cliffs, and admire the ruins of Villa Jovis. They see only stone walls and broken columns, not the whispers of the past. But the island remembers. Historians say the corruption born there spread through Rome, shaping emperors like Caligula, who grew under Tiberius's influence, and whose madness would surpass even his masters. The tale of Capri became a warning that unchecked power corrupts not only governments, but the human soul. As you drift into sleep tonight, remember that the ruins of Capri are more than stone. They are monuments to a truth that echoes across time. When men wield power without restraint, even paradise can be turned into a prison. And now, As the waves of the Mediterranean fade in your mind, may your night be gentle, your dreams peaceful, and your heart safe from shadows. Good night.